15 minutes late, and I totally apologize for that. But today we have a very special guest.
Thank you. I am indeed special.
Let's welcome our very special guest. Special guest, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us what you do, where you're from, and why you're here. But you have to get real close.
Hi, I'm Ross Jeffries. They call me the wizard of subtle words that sell. So I take entrepreneurs, business people, and I teach you how to get your prospects to convince themselves to buy without pushing, pressuring, or pitching. It's a topsy-turvy, totally upside-down, inside-out approach to selling that really doesn't require you to sell at all because your prospects sell themselves.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
This is Coffee is for Closers. This is episode number 40. We're going to be a little close to each other today just so we can make sure we have a really, really good sounding show just for you. But as you guys know, the last week, because we're in the second week of April, I feel like I've done the whole month already, is all about why maybe entrepreneurs talk themselves out of sales. So that is what we're talking about today. And it's really awesome to be here with you guys. So thank you for joining. We are going to have a lot of fun. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below and we will get to them later.
Please, I love questions.
You love questions?
I love it, yes.
Okay. So put questions below because he really loves questions.
I love them.
Okay. And someone said, can you use your real name?
My real name?
Yeah.
Why would I use Ross Jeffries? Does it matter what my real name is?
I don't know. We have to get closer.
Does it matter what my real name is?
I don't know.
What's in a name? My Hebrew name or what?
I don't know what
I don't
name.
know. It doesn't matter. Let's go forward.
Okay. So anyway, back to where we started. This is Coffee is for Closers. This is about episode number 40. And we are talking about the overcoming your fears and why you may talk yourself out of sales. And it's about the fear factor. So we're going to go a little bit into that. And Mr. Jeffries is going to talk to us about maybe some really interesting stories that he's had in his life and how it can apply to you to help get over the fear factor. It's a 4-letter bad word that we all have. Like when we think of sales, it's like a 4-letter bad word, right?
Yeah.
A little closer.
Yes. Wow, how close. I'll be your Siamese twin.
Yes, you will be my Siamese twin for the next 30 minutes.
Strange, but I've done worse.
Okay, cool. So for those of you that are on a computer or on my personal Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, pop on over to the Pitch Queen page so you can see our slides. But we're going to do mostly video today because we have a very special and entertaining guest today. Okay, so today...
And handsome.
And handsome, of course, yeah. But today we're going to go over the cup of wisdom like we always do. We're going to go why overcoming your fears of maybe making a bad impression. I know you've got something good on that. Asking for the sale is difficult. Not being able to deliver on your promises might be a reason you might be talking yourself out of a sale. And the fact that you might be rejected. Can we discuss that today?
Yeah, we can discuss all of it
in
whatever order you like.
We're just going to go in order of the slides.
Okay. All right.
So I really love this quote by Brian Tracy, and you tell me what you think. There are no limitations to how good you can become or how high you can rise except the limits that you put on yourself. Now,
I would say that's mostly true. However, I would say you also need to have good models. You can have expectations for yourself and have no limits, but if you don't have a good model for success, you'll still flounder around. So it's mostly true, but I would add in you need to have a really good person to model, someone who's been there, someone who you could seek counsel from. Does that make sense? Because I can believe that I have no limitations when it comes to be a professional wrestler. I'm still, your limitations have to have some idea of fitting physical reality.
Okay, let's talk about being a professional wrestler for a second. Okay?
Right.
So can you go a little bit more in depth of why that might not work for you?
Do you want me to stand up and show my physique? I'm pushing 60, and I don't think that a professional wrestler is a realistic goal. A manager, maybe.
Manager. Okay, no, but how would that relate to someone who's an entrepreneur starting a business?
Okay, here's what I would say. I do not believe in setting limits on yourself. However, I do believe in having measurable little sub-goals, I would call milestones. Mm-hmm. You understand? Mm-hmm. So I think being an entrepreneur requires bifocal vision. On the one hand, you have to keep your large, sweeping goal in mind, but then you have to look at the little daily bits day to day that you have to do. And the skill set, Michelle, switching back and forth between the two, is a learned skill set.
Yes.
Either people are too focused on the little pieces and they lose their vision and the idea of why they're even doing it, or they're so focused on the grand vision they don't know the little steps every day and they get completely confused and off track, or
overwhelmed.
Or they do the next shiny object thing, where they go for the next shiny program that's being sold or offered instead of focusing on what they need to do. Now, you're consistent. Yeah. One of the things I admire about you. Consistent. I don't know if that's obsessive compulsive or consistent, but it's very useful for you.
It's consistent. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, I have OCD for cleanliness, but
do you?
Yeah, I do. But that's because I like order, and I believe that everything in your life has to have order, and if you don't have order, then your life is probably full of chaos.
I like chaos. I've been trained my chaos because if you're going to be super creative and think outside the box, you have to be a little chaotic. It's disciplined chaos.
I agree. I think any business owner or like entrepreneur or small business owner, I have a lot of people, it's the same thing, but they call themselves something different. You have to be cut from a certain cloth. And it's
definitely.
a little closer.
Definitely. Like my voice does not have sufficient volume and timbre to get through.
I know.
I'm a freaking hypnotist. Believe me, I know how to use my voice.
Okay, so then the first thing of why someone might be talking themselves out of a sale might be the fear of making a bad impression. Okay, so for those of you on the computer or on my Pitch Queen Facebook page, you will see the slides for about a minute, and then we're going to go back to video. So again, if you have a question, please put it in the comments below. Also, if you want one of these hats, I'm going to do a giveaway. All you have to do is ask us a question, hit the like button, and also hit the share button, because we like when people share this stuff. It helps a lot of people, right? And if you have entrepreneur pals, then this will benefit them. But what if you feel like you're being a little too pushy or aggressive? Right?
Okay.
Well, let me just get through this and then we'll talk about
All
it.
right.
Sound good? Okay. Remember that you're there to really serve your potential clients. We have discussed this a lot in the past here. But what if we're so focused on what we're going to say that we actually forget to listen to our clients, which I'm sure you've experienced a ton of that, right? And remember that I always talk about listening 80% of the time and talking 20% of the time. Because that alone will take a lot of the pressure off. When I actually do a lot of sales calls, I don't really talk a lot, even though here I talk a lot.
Yes,
but
you do.
This is a little different.
I'm noticing you're not doing 80% of the listening.
No, the people watching and listening listen 80% of the time.
Oh, okay.
This is the only time I get to talk a lot.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So what do you think about the fear of making a bad impression?
Yeah, let's unpack that, because
Yes.
as someone who deals with linguistics and deals with presuppositions, the presupposition of that question is that you're looking to make an impression in the first place. And I don't think that's a good place to start. It's not about making an impression. It's about having impact, and more importantly, it's about creating a state in the other person where they feel heard and listened to. So if you can create that state very quickly and give the illusion, or at least the impression, that you're an authority, someone that is listening to them in a way where they feel like they're being understood, then you don't need to worry about making an impression. The paradox is give up the need to make an impression, because it never works anyway. You're not there to make an impression on people. You're there to create a responsive state.
Correct. But what about someone who doesn't even understand what you just said? Like, what's a few things that they can look out for if their thought is, I don't want to make a bad impression, but really that's not even what it's about. You see what I'm saying?
Right. So again, as someone who studies linguistics,
yes.
When you say, I don't want to make a bad impression, you're not giving your mind a place, a direction, a forward momentum to go. You're simply telling the mind what you don't want. Do you understand?
Yes.
So
we need to tell the mind what we do want.
We want to tell our mind, even more importantly, what we claim. Saying I want something still puts you in a position of being separated from it. But if I say I claim my calmness, I claim my ability to stay neutral and focused, that's different than saying I want it. So I teach how to use ownership language: claim, come from, create, my. There's a difference in saying I claim confidence with my prospects and saying I claim my confidence with my prospects. So a big thing, a unique thing that I teach is ownership language. It's profoundly powerful.
Okay, so let's give them an example of ownership language as it relates to the people that are out there thinking that they're just going to make a bad impression and they're talking themselves out of new clients to work with every day.
Okay, so here's what, first let me reinforce that reframe. It's not about making an impression.
That's the most important part.
That's the most important part. It's not about making an impression. It's about going in a state that's neutral and that's totally outwardly focused. I want to say one big thing. The reason why people are worried about making an impression, Michelle, is they're so worried about being confident and coming off as being radiant and confident. And that's not what you need. You need a neutral state. And by neutral state, I mean you're grounded in your body, you're outwardly focused, and you don't have an agenda, at least when you start going. That's the thing to aim at. If you can create a neutral state, you will not have to have any fear of making an impression because you're not aimed at making an impression.
I love that. We have not discussed the neutral state.
Right, because no one teaches it. Everyone teaches confidence. And so when I teach, my background is I've been teaching guys who've been terrified of women for 30 years, how to get over that fear of rejection, all the no's. And instead of, they start from being terrified, they want to go to being radiant and super studly. I say, no, aim at neutrality. You want to get to a neutral state.
Right.
Because how can you have confidence in something that you haven't done well before? You can't. But you can be neutral and you can be detached. So there's non-attachment, non-disinterest. This
Correct.
is not a sexy state. It is not something that you can teach with a fire walk, but it is really, really powerful. It's not a skill set that is talked about because it doesn't sell books, but it's really powerful.
You're right. I don't think that skill set would sell books.
No.
So
it does sell stuff.
It does. So because we're not discussing the relationship show here, right? This is coffee. It's for okay. So what about for the entrepreneurs out there that are out there, they really need a client, they're talking themselves out of a sale left and right, or maybe just, there was one really big one that they just talked themselves out of. What are like 3 ways to get into that neutral state?
Okay. First and foremost, you need to learn to quiet your internal dialogue. Because here's what I've realized, an internal dialogue is just a way of trying to get control. And people would rather invest in their fear of failure than open themselves up to the unknown, the possibility. So number one, embrace the unknown. Don't run from it.
This is why I flip upside down on my aerial silks, because I embrace the unknown.
I think you're embracing vertigo there, my dear.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, so that's number one. I'm sorry, what was the question? Repeat it because we got
I got distracted to get into flipping upside down and his mind went somewhere else. But anyway, I was talking about what are a couple of ways, 3 ways, that someone who might be dealing with this fear and talking themselves out of opportunities and sales to get in the state of being neutral, because I think this is a very important topic.
Right. So a lot of this has to deal with using your physiology. Use your physiology. Hello, thank you. I don't know what that means, but use your physiology. So one of the things I teach my clientele is to ground into their body. Put 20% of your attention on the feeling of your feet on the ground. When you put and breathe from the belly. This is not a mental thing. This is a physiological thing. So in neurolinguistic programming, which is my discipline, we look for leverage. And one of the big pieces of leverage here, if you have a lot of internal dialogue, don't try to argue with yourself about it, because then you're just doing more internal dialogue. Use your body. Put 20% of your attention on the feeling of the feet on the ground. If you're really scared, if you're in the fight or flight, defocus your vision. Look peripherally. The reason this works is when we go into fight or flight mode, we're hardwired by evolution to narrow our focus so we can look at our person attacking us. So when you expand your vision and do it peripherally, you shut off the fight and flight. So breathe into your ground into your feet, defocus your vision, and breathe into your belly. Those are the 3 things you do with your physiology. The number one mistake people make here is they try to use their internal dialogue to shut off their internal dialogue. That's like starting a fire and then starting a bigger fire try to put out the first fire. Doesn't work. So use your physiology to interrupt the entire pattern.
Got it. That was good.
I know, I'm good. I've been doing this a long time.
You can come over to Coffee is for Closers more often.
Have me over. Buy me some freaking coffee. I love coffee.
I actually have coffee.
Okay.
One of our friends over there on Instagram, he shipped coffee here.
He did?
Yeah, he
Okay.
really did, because it's Coffee is for Closers. We have people that like are requesting the hats. I have to mail that one over here, and then I'm giving a giveaway. So if you guys
Well,
want,
I better get a hat as a memento of this.
Well, that's what I asked you, if you wanted the hat.
Not when I'm on the air.
Oh, okay. Well, you can have the hat
It
later.
will cover my magnificent silver fox. By the way, ladies, I am single, so get in touch with me. I am. Why not? Take advantage of every platform.
Okay. Okay,
love you, Michelle.
let's get back to the show,
I'm
you
messing
guys.
with your mind.
I am so sorry for the distraction of the men and the dating. This
Don't
is
be
not
sorry.
the dating show. This
I
is
understand.
Coffee is for Closers.
I understand.
We talk about increasing our revenues
I
and our
understand.
businesses.
I'm dropping some value bombs here.
You are. All right. Let's talk about the fear of asking for the sale.
Right.
Okay. So another one that people deal with is that one of the reasons they talk themselves out of it, and I'll give you a short example
Sure.
and you can give us your 2
Sure.
cents. So I have a friend, right? Her name is Kat. And Kat can get like 300 people in front of you in a meetup. She is like a meetup genius. Okay.
Right.
And she'll be talking with a prospect, and she has a $10,000 program. Well, she doesn't enroll anyone into that. She enrolls them into the like $600 ones, because she talks people out of the $10,000 ones, even though the $10,000 one is the one that would solve the person's problem, to get 300 people in front of them because they have a lead problem. Right? So she actually did them a disservice by
Yes, she did.
giving them a lower option. Anyway, that's what I'm talking about. So asking for the large sale of what would actually help get someone out of a big problem or the pain or whatever it is. Why is that?
Because, again, I'm going to reframe it. There's no such thing as a large sale. There's only such thing as huge value. When you view it as a large sale,
Correct.
then immediately you're buying into a framework that's going to F you up. So you've got to stop thinking in terms of a large sale. You think in terms of huge value. And also, here's a paradox. The more people invest in something, the more value they find in it. Because here's
I like that.
Well, an odd quirk of human nature. We don't treat things the way we feel about them. We feel about things the way we treat them.
Correct.
So, for example, if someone cancels an appointment on you, they now view you as someone they've canceled on.
Yeah.
Even if they were interested in the initial appointment, they've shoved you into the category of someone who's been canceled on, so that initial excitement is gone. This happens over and over and over again. Does this answer make sense? Is it making sense?
It totally makes sense, because I think a lot of people think what I just said, like, oh, it's too big of a sale, I don't want to do that. And it's really like, that's where all your value is, and that's where all your gifts lie, that is actually the most important thing.
Right. And there's no such thing as, look, if you can get the value proposition communicated, if you can get the value proposition communicated properly, and then get people to weigh the value against the investment, then the investment value ratios
The investment value ratio
is going to become very, very clear. And then the other thing you need to understand is, don't worry about the people who are not going to buy. Because if they're not going to buy, they're just not going to buy. Go for the people who have the mucho fungolas, who are eager to give it to you.
What's a mucho fungola?
This is a term from one of my great mentors, Gary Halpert, who taught me how to write copy. He was arguably one of the greatest copywriters in the history of mankind, and he was not hesitant about saying that himself. That was Gary's way of referring to big money.
Big money. Got it.
Fungolas.
So what would you tell Kat, right? A lot of people have a program that's maybe like $500 to $1,000. Then they have something that's like $2,000 to $3,000 that adds a little bit more value. And then they have something that's, $10, $20, $30,000 that is even more value. So what's like one or two things that an entrepreneur can work on to really overcome this thing in their head that's talking to them? Because I get what you're saying, but what can someone actually take away and implement?
All right, let me give you a very unconventional answer, because I'm an unconventional thinker and even whacked out. I'm sufficiently whacked out, but still makes sense. I'm willing to admit it. Listen to me. You're never selling a program, whether it's $100,000, $1 million. You're always selling decisions and good feelings about decisions. So it's not about the price of the program. But let me give you a metaphor if I can. Let's say we have safes, 2 equal safes. They're completely identical, same combination.
At the bank?
Doesn't matter. A safe like you keep in your home. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They have dial combinations.
Okay.
One has a bag of diamonds worth $10 million.
Okay.
The other one has a lump of coal.
Okay.
You don't know which is which. You're not going to worry about which has which. You're going to pay full attention on turning the tumblers to open the safe. Do you understand? So don't worry about how much money is there for you. Just focus on the process of conveying the value proposition. And also, most importantly, this is a key takeaway of everything I teach in my book, Subtle Words That Sell, is you're never selling your program. You're always selling decisions and good feelings about decisions. So whether the program is $1 million, $10 million, it's not relevant. What's relevant is how do you sell the decision and the good feeling about the decision? Because people don't know how to make good decisions anymore. It's not about only trusting you. Now they have to trust themselves that they're making a good decision.
Yeah.
That's your job as a salesperson. It's not about the program, selling the program or the pricing. It's about selling decisions and good feelings about decisions.
So for all of you listening, we've also spoke about the fact that if you don't guide your clients to make a decision, then you're leaving them in indecision, which is actually bad for you and them.
It's very uncomfortable. And as a matter of fact, this is something I learned from my meditation teacher, who is the single greatest teacher I've ever met. This is no joke. Is that confusion and indecision, uncertainty is more painful to people than fear. People will kill for the sake of certainty, and being uncertain is something that it's anathema to the adult human ego. So if you leave people uncertain, you're harming them. You really are harming them, because uncertainty is far more a stopper, far more of a painful problem than fear. I know this is about overcoming fear, and I respect that and honor that. And I'm trying to tell you.
But this leads up to it.
Yes.
So it's okay.
Yes.
We're on topic.
Okay, good.
Just
We're
a
on
little
topic.
closer.
Okay, wow, I'm liking the direction of this. Have you ever just saw a guest and stopped and thought, I got to hang out with him later?
Well, a lot of my guests are not up that close and personal like this.
Oh, wow. See, that much stuff works.
They're on a Skype call away on Zoom.
I'm turning red. Look at
This is getting good, you guys.
Hey,
what's the name of your book real quick?
Subtle Words That Sell.
Okay, keep going.
How to get your prospects to convince themselves to buy without pushing, pressuring, or pitching. And the key bit is convince themselves. If you can get someone to convince themselves, if you can trigger their own process, then there's not a rejection, and no, it doesn't even come into it. They've convinced themselves. That's the beauty of it. It's a completely topsy-turvy, inside-out, revolutionary, can I say the word S-H-I-T?
Yeah.
Batshit crazy view and take on selling. It's completely different.
Very nice.
Because I'm crazy.
You guys, this is getting good, right? Who's got a question? Put it in the comments below. There's something over there. Exactly. It's in your head. Think big and think positive.
Actually, I don't
Thumbs
believe
up, you guys.
I don't believe in thinking positive.
You don't?
No. I believe in thinking non-attachment, non-disinterest. Positive creates attachment.
Okay. Let's start over. Ian, start it here. Go again. One more time.
Okay. I don't believe in thinking positively. I believe in non-attachment, non-disinterest. Okay. It's okay to think positively as long as you're not attached to the outcome.
Okay.
Thinking positive is great, but don't be attached to the outcome. Because this is something, one of the most influential books I ever read was called Winning Through Intimidation. I read it in the 70s, and this guy was a real estate broker, and he talked about the theory of maintaining a positive attitude through the assumption of a negative result. And he talks about the reality that no matter how well prepared you are, the majority of deals are just not going to close due to factors outside of your own control. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So this is much more important than looking in the mirror and saying, I know I'm going to sell today. I know I'm going to close. I know I'm going to close. I know I'm going to close. No, just get the heck out of your own way. Do your best, but recognize that There are going to be factors outside of your control. We do not live in the world of the secret. The universe is not your private wishing well out to serve you. The universe is actually quite hostile to our aims and to life. If you don't believe me, step outside, get outside the Earth's atmosphere without an environmental suit or a spacecraft to protect you. We're not living in a benign universe that's here to get the last 10 pounds of fat off our ass, get us our dream car, and make us filthy rich. It's not how it's wired.
How is it wired?
I think the universe is neutral, whatever the universe means.
Yeah.
And so it's up to us to, I don't know, maybe, I think you're Jewish. The expression in Judaism is tikkun olam, to heal the world.
Oh, I don't know that. I am Jewish, but I don't really practice. So you probably know a lot more than I do.
Ashanda you are. I don't practice either.
I go to yoga.
That'll do.
I do my meditation. I flip upside down on my aerial yoga.
I'll have to see that sometime.
Well, I'll show you. It's on my Facebook.
I meant in person, but that's okay.
Our next show is going to be somewhere else, guys. Okay. All right.
I'm liking this.
Next reason.
I told you I was a great guest.
Yeah, I didn't have any doubt.
Okay.
I had zero doubt whatsoever.
All right.
Right, team? They are fully entertained too, and so are they. There's hearts going on. These people, I don't know what they're doing, but these guys right here are main camera. We got 6 cameras, you guys. But are you guys liking this? Feel free to like, share, everything else. Then Amy is sitting on her bed. She runs the whole show with me from her bed.
What?
Yeah.
Hello,
right,
Amy, wherever
Say
you
hi,
are.
Amy. Yeah.
How does Amy run the show if she's not on camera and doesn't talk?
Because she helps me, like, a lot of the comments, and she helps afterwards, and then we put on YouTube.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
This is crazy.
There's a lot that goes on. Anyway, the last thing, or the fourth one about, like, this fear factor of what we were talking about.
Right.
A lot of people have mentioned, they're starting their own business. They forgot they signed up for a 24/7 sales career because when you have your own business, you have to get your own clients, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then there's this thing that comes up about the fear of being able to deliver what you're promising to your clients.
Well, that's a big deal. You better be ready to deliver. You had better be ready to deliver. So I think part of that is starting at the end, backing up and saying, being very clear, what is your value proposition? What do you need to do to deliver it? This is the place where confidence is not about talking to yourself in the mirror. It's being able to walk the talk, and it's product knowledge and being able to do what you say you can do.
Right.
So if you're not good at what you do, don't do it. Find something else to do. It's a simple answer. It doesn't require the wisdom of Confucius.
Okay, so let's bring up Kat, for example, right? Mm-hmm. She's amazing at what she does, has hundreds of people for her clients showing up to meet
I'll tell
up.
you what I'll do. Hold on. This is not a joke or a lascivious thing. I'm very serious. I will do a free consult with Kat, get her over that fear, and I'm not kidding, in 15 minutes, and then I want to see what her results are. It's easy to do. Okay, I'm not being funny.
So tell everybody,
I'm serious.
Let's tell everyone listening, like 3 ways that they can, because they know they're really good at it. They have the results to prove it.
Right.
But there's still something going on in their head that they're like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't work with this client because their status is maybe above them.
Okay,
and that oh, well, I don't know if I can deliver on this client.
Okay, here's the thing. Whenever we have this dialogue going on, the first thing I think is, okay, is there any actual information in here, any teaching in here that is saying, yeah, you really do need to prepare differently? So the first thing I do when a client or someone like that comes to me and they have, quote, a negative train of thinking, is I want to say to them, is there any information, useful information that you need to extract? Because maybe there's some useful ideas in there. The second thing is, what is the voice that's speaking to you? Mm-hmm. Is it your adult, rational voice, or is it in the tone of a scared child? Is it the tone of someone who's punishing you? You need to learn to tune into voice tonality. Mm-hmm. In NLP, we call this submodalities. So, for example, you may have a voice in your head that scolds yourself like, nah, 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 nah. But if you change the submodality and you say the same things, but it goes, Michelle, you're rotten. You'll never be able to accomplish your goals. So we change a submodality in the voice. Mm-hmm. So see if it has useful information, extract it out, change the submodality, let it say the same things. But I teach my students who are afraid of asking for a date to say things like, ooh, she'd never like me. I'm such a loser. And it changes how you feel about it. And the third thing I'd say is take on the view of experimenting. Unless you see, here's the thing, Michelle. A lot of people want what I call performance confidence. Performance confidence is you've done something well 1,000 times. So it's a reasonable prediction that you'll do it right the time 1,001.
Yes.
But a lot of people want that performance confidence before they do any performing.
Correct.
So I teach them what I call acceptance confidence, which is simply you accept the fear, you accept the uncertainty. When you're, listen to me.
You embrace the unknown.
This is gold. When you can walk into the unknown and not need a guarantee, you're 99% ahead of the people in the world because they all want guarantees. But here's the second bit. Listen to me. This is gold. When you can walk into the world and not need a guarantee and give your prospect radical permission to have their first response to you, whatever it is, without taking it in stone, then a door opens up. Because people are not used to having space held for them when they're saying no or being unpleasant.
Yep.
You combine those two skills, and even if you're not smooth and a great talker like me, you'll have something. It'll be something that's what I call...
You've had a lot of experience.
Oh, yes, I have. You create very subtle confidence. It's something that can't be... you could even call it stealth confidence. It's not based on you saying, I can do it, I can do it. It's not even based on a track record. It's based on being able to walk into the unknown and hold radical acceptance for your prospects. Listen to me, first response. Doesn't mean you take it in stone, because most of the time your prospect's first no is autopilot. Right. It's just coming up because it has momentum. That's all it is. It's momentum. That's it. And momentum can be turned around. Anything that has momentum, you can shift that train track and send it into the station you want to take it. So I love hearing no. For me, hearing no is, ooh, now the fun is starting. Now I get to mess with people's minds. Because here's the thing.
But I think the biggest thing that you said is stealth confidence.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
For everybody listening, we have not really discussed this before.
No.
But I think it's having this confidence that you're just like going under the radar almost.
Because it's not about feeling, again, people, when you give people unrealistic goals to aim at, they're always going to screw it up because it's impossible. If you wait for performance confidence, if you wait till you're good at something before you get confidence, well, you're never going to get good at it or get confidence, because the only way to get performance confidence is to do it a lot. So instead, you take on acceptance confidence. You walk into the uncertainty. You're okay with that flow of feeling in your body without fighting it. This is another broadcast about meditation in action.
We'll do that next time.
Yeah, meditation in action, because I'm a devoted meditator. It's changed my life. I joke about everything. I have a lot of levity. I never joke about my meditation practice. It's profoundly healing for me. It's changed my life. I don't joke about that.
Are you sure?
Yes, there's no punchline there.
I felt like I was at a comedy show and there was something else coming.
No, there's nothing else coming behind that. It's a very powerful practice. It's changed my life.
All right.
When you meditate, you know.
Yeah, I meditate upside down.
Next. I'm going to pass on that.
Well, that covers all of our topics today on the fear of talking yourself out of sales. Is there anything else that you can think of that you would like to say that could really benefit the entrepreneurs that are really,
absolutely.
And again, we focus on people that are selling like higher ticket offers of lots of value. Okay, so their values are super duper high with lots of content and lots of deliverables that they're really able to make a big impact. So what would you say to those people?
Listen to me. This is the number one thing. I don't care how much you're charging or what your product is. That doesn't mean bupkis, as we say in Yiddish. Bupkis means goat droppings, because you're not selling your product or service. You're selling decisions and good feelings about decisions. Keep that in mind. If you are not a salesperson, there's not a person out there who wants to be super successful who could ever again think of themselves as a salesperson. You are a decision service technician. A decision service technician. Think about that reframe. If you go in thinking, I have to sell this person, no. You're going to service this person in making the great decision to buy your program and get the value that flows from it. Decision service technician. In linguistics and neurolinguistics, we look at language. Language structures consciousness, shapes decisions, and drives behavior. So if your metaphor is that you're selling, you're going to trip. Instead, you're a decision service technician. Hammer that into your head. It'll take all the pressure off. You won't worry about hearing no's. It'll all go away.
Can I use that?
If you give me credit, yes.
I'll give you credit.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So on the Pitch Queen website and everywhere on the podcast that you guys listen to on Wednesdays, all those episodes, we're just going to change up the lingo and we're going to say decision service technicians.
I wouldn't go that far. But...
We all signed up for 24/7 decision service technicians,
right.
Not sales jobs.
Right. Right. With a sense of humor. It doesn't
Correct.
have to be serious. My mentor, Richard Bandler, the co-creator of NLP, told me the minute you start taking things serious, you are in a world of, it rhymes with the word pit. Because seriousness...
You can say deep shit.
Okay. The minute you get serious about things, you can be thorough without being serious. Mm-hmm. So when you can learn to be thorough without being serious, you're ahead of the game because you're adding in a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. And a sense of humor, humor is what I would call a very paradoxical and powerful thing. It's both a binder and a lubricant. If you think about social interactions, when people laugh together, it lubricates the friction of meeting a stranger.
Yep.
And yet when people laugh together, it binds them together.
Yep.
Look for paradoxical phenomena like humor. In paradox, there's profound power, life-changing power.
Well, thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much for being here with us, Ross. It was awesome to have
Thank
you
you.
here. You
Of course.
guys can get his book over on Amazon.
Subtle words that sell.
Subtle Words That Sell.
Yep.
So thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. I love doing it.
I will see you guys next week on Tuesday at 2 o'clock Pacific, and we're going to start on time. I have learned my lesson that I'm going to be doing my updates the day prior to Coffee is for Closers, so we don't have any more technical difficulties. But thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. I really loved it.
Bye, you guys.